The U.S. Senate experienced tense moments when Senator Peter Welch confronted Attorney General Pam Bondi in a hearing marked by accusations, contradictions, and attempts to evade answers. The debate began with a sensitive topic: the impact of the government shutdown on federal workers and the looming health crisis with rising health insurance costs. Welch, in a firm tone, reminded the court that thousands of families, regardless of their political positions, are about to face devastating increases in their health insurance premiums. He cited the case of a Vermont family with 3 children, one of whom is battling severe leukemia, and warned that their premiums could triple if the impasse is not resolved by early November. For the senator, the problem is neither Republican nor Democratic. It is a human one, and it demands immediate cooperation between the two parties. Pam Bondi responded evasively, shifting the focus to political accusations, claiming the impasse was the fault of Democrats who want to provide medical care to illegal immigrants. This statement ignited the session, transforming the dialogue into an ideological battle. Welch, without losing his composure, attempted to refocus the discussion. What's at stake is the well-being of families, whether they're from Florida or Vermont. The hearing, broadcast live, highlighted the difficulty of dialogue in a divided Congress, where even vital issues like public health become political ammunition. The senator insisted that the solution should transcend partisan labels and focus on ordinary people, those who, away from the cameras, are paying the real price of political disputes. When the topic shifted to voting rights, Welch pressed Bondi about a letter sent to several states, including Vermont, demanding complete electoral data, including voters' personal information. The senator wanted to know on what basis the Justice Department was requesting such information, since the document cited a fear that the electoral process has been taken over by the left. Bondi, however, showed a lack of knowledge about the letter's content and simply stated that her office has the right to request this data. The response left the plenary silent for a few seconds. Welch insisted, "Do you have any concrete evidence of this alleged left-wing dominance in the elections?" To which Bondi replied only, "We want fair and free elections." The senator retorted, emphasizing that this was a generic response and that he expected transparency, not slogans. Tensions rose when the senator exposed contradictions in Bondi's conduct in judicial cases. He noted that, although the prosecutor had refused to comment on ongoing cases, she had made lengthy statements about the case of the assailant who threatened Judge Brett Kavanaugh, a case that was also under appeal. Welch didn't miss the opportunity to point out the inconsistency. "You claim you can't comment on pending cases, but you commented on this one in detail. Why?" Bondi tried to justify herself by saying she had only cited public information, but the atmosphere in the room was already tense. This contradiction, widely discussed behind the scenes, raised suspicions of political selectivity in the Attorney General's responses, speaking when the topic favored her narrative, remaining silent when it could compromise it. The most explosive moment, however, came when Welch brought up an alleged video showing the transfer of $50,000 linked to a case under investigation. He asked directly, "Does a recording with audio and video showing this delivery exist or not?" Bondi stated she didn't know and advised the senator to ask Director Patel. Welch, incredulous, replied, "With all due respect, you know the answer." At that moment, Bondi reacted, visibly irritated. "Don't call me a liar." The room fell silent. The tension was palpable. The exchange of barbs revealed a rare moment of vulnerability from the prosecutor, who until then had maintained a calculated posture. The discussion ended with Welch reaffirming that the public deserved to know the fate of the $50,000, especially if the case involved possible irregularities within federal agencies. At the end of the session, Bondi tried to regain control, praising former Director Tom Homan and stating that he kept the borders secure. Welch, in turn, concluded by reminding everyone that transparency is not an option, but a public duty. The American people don't want more speeches. They want answers. The speech was met with brief applause from some of those present, symbolizing a rare consensus. The public's patience with political excuses is running out. The episode spread rapidly on social media, with the video of the confrontation reaching millions of views in a few hours. Hashtags like Welch vs Bondi and Transparency Now dominated the online debate. Political analysts saw in the clash a preview of what may be the new tone of American politics. More direct, more confrontational, and with voters increasingly unwilling to accept evasions. In a deeper analysis, the confrontation between Welch and Bondi reflects a much larger dispute than a simple clash between two politicians. It is a struggle for institutional credibility in a polarized country. While Welch defends the idea of bipartisan cooperation and a focus on concrete problems such as health and the economy, Bondi represents a wing that insists on narratives of internal threat and distrust in the system. This tension mirrors the very state of American democracy, a nation divided between those who want to rebuild bridges and those who continue to erect walls. The clash also highlighted how the issue of public health has become an ideological battleground, when in practice it should be a collective effort. For many observers, Welch's stance was a breath of fresh air amidst the political chaos. He stood out not only for his firmness, but also for his clarity in separating facts from speculation. His insistence on obtaining direct answers and defending ordinary families transformed him, at least on that day, into a voice of empathy in a sea of accusations. Bondi, on the other hand, reinforced the image of a prosecutor more concerned with protecting political agendas than with seeking solutions. The clash revealed the distance between government rhetoric and the reality of the people affected by Washington's decisions. What happened at that hearing wasn't just a verbal duel. It was a mirror of the moment the United States finds itself in, a country where dialogue is constantly replaced by attacks and where every word is used as a weapon. Still, Welch's appeal for Republicans and Democrats to sit down together before the healthcare system collapses sounds like a hope that, despite the differences, a sense of responsibility can still prevail. Time, however, is short. With the November deadline approaching and families distressed by rising medical costs, each day without an agreement means more real suffering. The hearing ended, but the repercussions have only just begun. Television programs, podcasts, and newspapers analyzed every detail of the confrontation, while ordinary citizens debated online whether Welch was courageous or provocative. In any case, the senator achieved something rare in modern politics, transforming a bureaucratic moment into a lively debate about public accountability. The story is far from over, but one thing is clear: the pressure for transparency is increasing, and figures like Bondi will have less and less room to hide behind rehearsed speeches. And now the question remains for you, who closely follows these behind-the-scenes political events. Do you think Senator Welch acted correctly in pressuring Bondi in that way, demanding direct answers? Or do you believe he overstepped the mark in his pursuit of the spotlight? Leave your opinion in the comments. The debate begins here.